This program is proudly brought to you by the Luderitz Nest Hotel. In 1908, railway worker Zacharias Lewala found a diamond while working in this area and showed it to his supervisor, the German railway inspector August Stauch. Realizing the area was rich in diamonds, German miners began settlement, and soon after, the German government declared a large area as a Sperrgebiet, starting to exploit the diamond field. Driven by the enormous wealth of the first diamond miners, the residents built the village in architectural style of a German town, with amenities and institutions including a hospital, ballroom, power station, school, skittle alley, theatre and sport hall, casino, ice factory, and the first X-ray station in the southern hemisphere, as well as the first tram in Africa. It had a railway link to Luderitz. The town declined after World War I when the diamond field slowly exhausted and was ultimately abandoned in 1954. Luderitz is a small harbour town with 20,000 residents situated between the cold Atlantic and the dry Namib Desert. The Bay of Luderitz was discovered in 1488 by the Portuguese seafarer Bartholomew Diaz, who named it Angra Pequena. In 1883, Adolf Luderitz bought the bay and it was named after him. The new Luderitz waterfront is ideal for shopping, enjoying lunch and meeting the local people. The region is known for its exotic wildlife, including seals, penguins, flamingos, oryx and springbok. Luderitz also offers a beautiful camping ground on Shark Island and vast sandy beaches to enjoy or take a walk. The best include Grossebucht and Agate Beach, known for its colorful sand. It is a colorful town that luxuriates in a well-preserved heritage. Among at least 84 buildings of architectural interest, some can be seen in historic Berg Street in the Altstadt area, with examples of the Wilhelmian Art Deco style at the spired Lutheran Felsenkirche, built in 1911, overlooking the town, as well as the turreted red-roofed Gurkha House. Luderitz, Namibia's hidden secret and the home of the Luderitz Speed Challenge. French nationals and speed lovers of note, Sébastien Catalan and his companion Sophie Routabul were scouting around for the best speed sailing spot in the world. At the age of 32, Sébastien was already a pioneer of speed sailing and developed kitesurfing equipment in his home country. In 2004, he and Sophie had stumbled on the coastal settlement of Luderitz. They became absolutely convinced that this was the perfect venue for breaking the world speed record in speed sailing. The natural lagoon at Luderitz offered exactly the right conditions. When the warm desert winds accelerate through the surrounding hills and reach the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean, they cause thermal atmospheric pressure that creates incredibly high wind speeds. The couple organized the first Luderitz Speed Challenge in 2007. The 7th edition of the 2013 Luderitz Speed Challenge ended with 36 records broken from 11 different countries. On Sunday 6th of October 2014, the official opening took place at the Luderitz Nest Hotel, with the presence of Her Worship Susan Njaleka, the Mayor of Luderitz, and Honourable Jerry Ikanjo, Minister of Youth, Sport and Culture.
This is the 8th edition of this world record attempt in speed sailing, and today we just opened the ceremony with the Honourable Minister of Youth, National Sports and Culture, who come with the Mayor of the Town Council of Luderitz. We have this year 17 different nationalities who are representing their country, and 35 competitors who come from all over the world to fight and try to break world and national records.
For 6 weeks, the Nest Hotel becomes a home away from home for most of the surfers. The award-winning Nest Hotel is one of Namibia's leading resort hotels and is located directly on Luderitz Bay, with its own private tidal beach with walk-on jetty.
We, as Luderitz Nest Hotel, believe that Luderitz is a magical, charming little town which has retained much of its originality. It has much to offer in terms of the natural beauty of the area, the peninsula, the Nama Desert sand dunes, the lagoon, Diaz Point, catamaran tours and so on. And these individuals coming from around the world, these speed sailors, have taken advantage of the natural beauty of Luderitz. When the wind doesn't blow, they have their off days. But more importantly, what it has done is that we've had riders here coming back year on year to attend the event, to further their personal bests. This year, we believe that the world record could be broken. We anticipate, with the caliber of individuals coming out, we have legends coming out to Luderitz. We believe that many more records will be broken. At least we anticipate the South African record, the African record will go for sure, the Italian record will go for sure. So it's just a matter of waiting and seeing. But with the caliber of champions coming out to Luderitz this year, we believe that at least 20 more national records will be broken, and the world record is certainly up for grabs.
This year, 20 riders maximum per week will fight to break national and world records and further push performance limits. Like in previous years, research and development of the canal continues to improve year on year due to relevant feedback from competitors and maximizing the canal's conditions. The result? Faster speeds in less wind.
Yeah, I spend like 3 or 4 months a year in Luderitz to prepare and organize everything before the event. And yeah, we progress every year, step by step from all the previous year's experiences. And it's really, yeah, it's really safer, and so yeah, everybody enjoy it much better than last year.
The first skippers meeting of the 2014 Luderitz Speed Challenge was held at the channel for riders to expose the changes the organisation has done and to explain the schedule and the progress of the event for new competitors. On the first day of racing, the wind was 20 to 25 knots average, with stronger gusts of up to 30 to 35 knots. The angle improved when the wind got stronger. The Dutch windsurfer Jacques van der Hout, who is leading the GPS ranking this year, reached 41 knots on his very first run on the Luderitz Channel. Then Remo Diethelm from Switzerland went fastest with 42 knots. Later in the day, Anders Brundal reached 45.5 knots and finished with the best speed of the day for windsurfers with 45.47 knots. The speeds are first averaged when they are timed and then later checked. Patrick Diethelm came close with 45.15 knots on his last run. 2 national records were recorded. Andrew Redfern from Fiji with 36.15 knots and Martin Toth from Czech Republic with 39.96 knots. Lena Erdl from Turkey was still adjusting to her new equipment, reaching a top speed of 37.85 knots for the day. Sebastian Catalan, 2-time world record holder, who built the channel, managed 50.07 knots on his third run. The riders are now more settled in and look forward to more serious conditions.
It was a big experience for me, this canal. I read a lot on the websites about the canal. I have to say that it was a little bit more difficult than I expected. It's difficult start on the small board with small sail, but when you are in the canal, it's not so difficult. It's nice experience and fantastic place for the maximum speed what you can do.
On day 2, racing started at 1 p.m, but the wind was still light. A couple of riders went down the channel to get the feeling and adjust their gear. After the strong conditions on day 1, the wind on day 3 of racing was good enough to improve and break some other national records. Beginning at 20 to 25 knots, reaching 30 to 35 knots in the middle of the afternoon. This third day of racing saw improved conditions with a more stable wind and a more shallow wind angle. The channel was pumped to increase the level of the water as well. Andrew Redfern, the Fijian, who established the Fiji record earlier on in the tournament, reaching 36.41 knots in difficult conditions, kept improving, exceeding 40 knots. He is being helped and coached by Anders Bringdahl, Farrell O'Shea and Sebastian Catalan. Swedish kitesurfer Roger Ornvang was pushing it the whole day until achieving 43.19 knots, beating his own record from last year, which was 41 knots. Eric Beale has shown lots of knowledge from his great experience in speed sailing, using the whole day to test his prototypes, which are a combination of a windsurfer and kite surfboard, adding a cavitating fin. The result looked promising. Andrea Baldini, Henny Breitenkamp, Alain de Gent, Frans Grabner and Martin Toth have been training hard to improve their techniques, getting ready for the next strong conditions.
Well, firstly, I would like to break the British national record, which is at 48, 49 knots with Farrell, and then hopefully be able to go over 50 knots. But you know what I'm seeing now the first days is this is not an easy challenge.
It was not only racing and world record chases for the riders, but also they had the opportunity to take it slow and enjoy the better, calm Luderitz weather.
Just do a bit of exercise, different. Good for the body, huh?
The calm seas at the Nest Hotel give some riders the opportunity to go on a paddleboard and also teach some beginners to ride on a board as well. The fourth day of racing was an exciting day with challenging conditions. The channel, which has further improved over the last few days, experienced a deep angled wind direction, which is not ideal for faster times, despite strong winds. Later in the day, the angle improved and the wind dropped and personal best performances were achieved. The Czech national record was once again improved by Martin Toth, with a new record of 44.92 knots. The top speed of the day was achieved by Patrick Diethelm, the Italian champion, with 49.74 knots, followed by Mark Grinnell, the South African windsurf champion, with 49.23 knots, 0.4 knots off his best. Anders Bringdahl, the Swedish champion, reached 49.11 knots, and Jacques van der Hout, the Dutchman, achieved a top speed of 49.06 knots. Matthias Rocha, the Namibian champion, achieved 46.78 knots, his record being 47.51 knots. Henny Breitenkamp, the South African, improved his speed on the day with 46.87 knots, and Alain de Gent, the Belgian previous record holder, improved his personal best to 45.94 knots.
Yeah, 40 knots was a massive barrier and we managed to achieve that and break that in Walvis Bay in Namibia a number of years ago. And since then obviously been trying to go faster. Came up here in 2012, did 49.66. Last year tried to beat 50 no wind, so we weren't successful, and yeah, this year 49.92, so we're nearly there. So it's the speed part of the game that I love, not the rest of it, just purely the speed, trying to go faster and faster. In anything up to 40 knots, it really is easy. It's just too easy. You turn the corner, that's maybe a little bit of an issue, and as you go down the canal, it's just easy. You could literally hold the boom with 1 or 2 fingers in each hand, no issue whatsoever. The stopping's a bit of a problem because you're then going at between 90 and 100 kilometers an hour, and you've got to stop in a very short space of time, so that's a bit of a problem. But going down the canal is great. When you go down the canal between 45 and 50 knots of wind, then it becomes a different story. Then you have to focus and really hold on, and you really feel your board accelerate and accelerate and accelerate and accelerate, and then it becomes exciting, because then it starts to become a little scary, and then you know you're going fast. But anything up to 40 knots, it's just too easy.
Well, my personal record here, which is the Namibian record, is 47.8 knots, which I set up in 2012 on the channel. We used the board already, and I think I can improve on that. Yesterday I was sailing here for the first time this year in the 2014 challenge. The winds were good. The direction was a little bit broad, which means there was a lot of chop on the channel, which made it quite difficult to maintain the speed and to be in control going down the course. For those people who don't know knots, in kilometers an hour, it's about 85, 87 kilometers an hour, which we're going down the channel on water. So if you drive that by car, you actually see there's a immense speed which we're actually traveling down the channel. And if you've got a chop of 20 centimeters, it's like going through a corrugated road with your golf, and your teeth want to fall out and your eyeballs want to fall out of your sockets. It's quite tough, but everybody's got the same challenges. And yesterday I did a good speed of 46.8 knots, so it's 1 knot off my record. Today the conditions look really good, and I believe very strongly that today I can even beat my record again, and hopefully I'm going to do that. So yeah, we must just hold thumbs, see what the day brings.
Day 5 was once again a very successful race day, with 4 more records. The wind speeds were lower than expected, but the course was smoother than ever. Despite the 25 to 30 knot wind speeds with stronger gusts, the competitors achieved crazy speeds. Remo Diethelm, the Swiss champion, opened the race day by smashing his Swiss record with 47 knots initially, then a run of 47.62 knots, and then improving again on his next run with 48.31 knots, and led the race. South African and African champion Mark Grinnell did some impressive speeds by achieving a new national South African record for windsurfing with 49.92 knots. It was previously 49.66 knots. Matthias Rutcher, the Namibian champ, was really close to his record with 47.23 knots. His record stands at 47.51 knots. Lena Erdl, the Turkish champion and Red Bull rider, and the only lady in the 2014 event, achieved 44.33 knots, only 1.5 knots short of the world record. French kite surfer Sylvain Houchiani, who started the event with 46.82 knots on the first day, achieved 51.5 knots and went over 50 knots 7 times. Sebastian Catalan achieved 52.90 knots with the kite surfer and 43.55 knots on the windsurfer by borrowing equipment from other riders. He's also done a great job with the building of the channel this year.
And tomorrow I can maybe touch 57 average and take the world record. I hope. If all is perfect, my kite can, my body can.
Yeah, the canal seems to be okay. We just need the good wind. So we'll see what it does. You know, you can always have different theories, or if you make a slightly different angle, it's going to give less chop or more chop, or the wind is going to be more stable, but till you actually try it out with the good conditions, you're never going to find out what will happen. So we'll see what will happen tomorrow, and I'm really excited.
It's the 23rd of October 2014 and day 6 of racing in Luderitz. Namibia will go down in the history books as kitesurfer Chris Ballois of France has set a new world record for disabled riders. In only 25-knot average winds and after reaching 39.14 knots on his very first run down the multiple record-breaking channel, Ballois on his second run took his brand new world record to yet another level with 42.94 knots, which is an average speed of 80 kilometers per hour over the official 500 meters. His passion for the sport has motivated him to gain the skills, strength, physical and mental conditioning to achieve the speeds that many non-disabled kitesurfers only dream of. The event organizers also got the locals involved with the annual Community Kids Day, where they organized entertainment for the children with the assistance of local industry, Seaflower, the town council, local volunteers and speed challenge competitors. The kids took the opportunity to discover the new water sport, stand-up paddling, which is gaining popularity around the world. After enjoying ice cream, sweets, biscuits and drinks, they then watched the professional riders set up their equipment to get an idea what the Chris Benz Luderitz World Record Chase is all about, and also to realize how the event is promoting Luderitz and Namibia to the world. Day 7 saw strong winds as expected, with control being difficult in the conditions. The previous day's training paid off for the newly arrived riders tackling the channel for the very first time. Jacques van der Hout from Holland opened the day with a solid performance of 45.13 knots. Andrea Baldini from Italy, who reached 45 knots previously, recorded a positive 44.17 knots on the day.
The feeling is the same that when you go in a big wave, the same when you go fast with the car. You just have adrenaline. We love adrenaline. We have a dreamer. We are like the old adventure. We have a lot of dream. We like adrenaline. We like the risk. When you go in the canal, just we feel strong. That's it. We want to go. We want to go. That's it.
On day 8, it was top performance day of the 2014 event, with 50+ knots recorded, as well as many personal bests and 4 countries' records falling. The fastest speed of the 2014 event was recorded today by Italian champion Patrick Dietelm, registering an impressive new Italian record of 51.18 knots. In fact, Patrick went over 50 knots almost 4 times consecutively. He was in unbeatable form. The Belgian Alain de Ghent also broke his national record in the production board category with 46.66 knots. Day 8 produced undoubtedly some of the best and top performances of the 2014 event, despite less than optimal conditions, proving once again that the channel created by Sebastian Catalan, the first man to smash the 50-knot barrier, to be the best spot in the world speed sailing circuit. 200 runs were made during this, the 8th day of the challenge. Despite only 25 to 30 knot winds on the 9th and last day of racing with a smooth water surface, Patrick Dietelm from Italy once again delivered the top speed of the day with 48.77 knots. Utilizing a 6.3 square meter sail, Patrick feels that the world record of 52.05 knots can definitely be improved upon with bigger equipment. All in all, the 2014 Luderitz Speed Challenge was once again a big success, with no less than 38 international and 11 national records having been broken, not to mention 1 world record as well. Next year, with the riders' recently gained experience, the 2015 Luderitz Speed Challenge will without doubt take top speeds in this sport to a new and exciting level. This program was proudly brought to you by the Luderitz Nest Hotel.